Dear boomers, suffering is part of our training. It's our part of our training program for becoming wise, says Ram Dass, spiritual teacher, one that many may be familiar with here on this channel. But Ram Dass was one of the great gurus of the 1960s and my generation. He was a seeker who taught about the meaning of life and actually a deeper meaning of life. So, why is suffering such a universal experience, and how can it be reframed as a transformational journey? How can you feel that there are areas of your life where you have suffered, and what have you learned from those beautiful experiences? Suffering, from both a spiritual and psychological perspective, is a teacher that guides us to deeper truths. Suffering is a process of confronting and working through life's challenges. So there are many examples of that. When we lose our best friends through death, when we have an illness or have been given a diagnosis that is terrifying at first, and then you get used to it. Any kind of failure and existential crisis can lead to a suffering preoccupation that can be remedied through deep, deep meditation. People try to avoid or suppress suffering, and that prolongs the pain. That is so typical of what happens. We deny it. We don't talk about it. We pretend it doesn't exist. But as Ram Dass said, he views suffering as part of the human curriculum, a word he used many times, a training program. He had a stroke. Ram Dass had a stroke in 1997, and that was causing a lot of suffering, especially at first when he was trying to work through all of the different challenges involved with that kind of massive stroke that he had. And in fact, there was no reason why he should have lived through that. He had the stroke, he fell on the floor, and maybe somebody called, and they got the intuitive feeling that there was something not right with RD, as they call him. But his stroke deepened his understanding of grace and acceptance about where he was in his life, and it deepened his spiritual identity, as well as created a egoless state within him. So yeah, suffering breaks down the ego. It forces us to connect with our authentic selves. And awareness, you have to be aware of how you feel and accept how you feel. If you actually do feel complete despondency and total despair over your situation, recognize that without judgment. Do not judge. Do not judge. Allow suffering to be part of our lives without resistance. And use the lessons of suffering to grow and evolve. There are many people we can read books about people who have overcome their own suffering and who have become wiser through their own suffering. There are historical perspectives and personal anecdotes that we can glean from our own lives to prove that suffering is a vehicle for enlightenment. I think the very first tenet of Buddhism is suffering is created when we cling to whatever it is that we're suffering. Whatever makes us suffer, we cling to it, and we do not let go of outcome. Meditation is a tool for observing and processing the pain, and also during your day, when you go through your day and you become mindful, and during those periods of mindfulness, you can understand why you are feeling a certain way. Now, gratitude can reframe the suffering that you feel or think you feel, or and the whole act of gratitude knocks out the whole experience of suffering. You are grateful for the things that are yet to come, and you are grateful for the life that you woke up to this morning and the life that you just lived when you go to bed at night. Journaling about these lessons is important because journaling feels like your journal is your best friend. The hardship teaches us this. And it helps us to feel compassion for other people who are going through similar things. Spiritual practices transcends and transforms suffering. And we can think of suffering as a gift, a great gift from our higher guides, from our divine, the wisdom that comes from experiencing life, including all of it, all of the good things and all of the things that are so-called challenges. Suffering connects us to a shared humanity of others, and we can foster empathy and understanding more readily when we have that kind of empathy. Wisdom gained through suffering leads to a deeper appreciation of life's joys and challenges. So suffering is not an end because it's just a stepping stone to higher empathy and compassion. It is a portal to growth, connection, and wisdom. Now, reframe your own experiences, those of you who feel a certain amount of deep sadness today, and transform and reframe those moments into transformation. What lessons has your suffering taught you? Share in the comments. There is going to be a video that shows up here. Like and subscribe, and I will see you soon.